Because if you do, the washers and drag washers will not fit. They get hung up on that pin, so make sure that pin is thoroughly seated. But yeah, you know, this is a good little, I don't know if this is collectible or not, or maybe it's just my personal preference. I just thought it'd be kind of nice to have. Wooden handle, you know, and it has a nice graphics of the sailboat on it. So next we're gonna have our drag washer, and we have our old drag washer. This is the red drag washer. This is going to get replaced with the smaller carbon fiber drag washer. So put that on first. Next is our copper main gear. You notice there's a little cut for that. Okay. Next is we're going to put just a little bit of grease on the drag washers so that when I put it together they won't all fall out. What could happen is this little tab could pop out, and that's not good. Like I said, I'm not really going to be fishing with it, so I'm going to be very light on the grease because I don't want to, because what happens over time, the grease will get hard and turn into like a hard plaque. But we're only putting a very skim amount, just like that, just a tiny amount, just to hold it all together. Next is our brass washer. This is that. Carbon fiber drag washer is next. Just a little bit. Next is one of the tabs. The tabs are the one that goes in the middle of the drag stack. Those little tabs line up with the main gear. There's little slots. Next is the drag washer again. Yeah, I don't know if this reel is collectible or not, or because I think this is a kind of an interesting. Because this has only been made for I think 3 years. This reel was only made for. Then they just discontinued it, so a bit of a short run. So I think it's a kind of a, I know, a duck in the PENN reel catalog sort of thing, because this reel is kind of like the BAYHEAD, or excuse me, the Bridge City. It's very similar to that. Next is our copper wave spring. So that's the wave spring. It's made out of copper. They're generally made out of brass or steel. I think that's what's on the 85. Set that aside. We're going to get our assembly here. Grab that. Put this upside down. Just hold your pinion gear of your thumb while this is upside down. Push that down. Okay, next we're going to get our threaded screw, the long one. That will go into the bottom, and the half thread ones go on the top where the springs are. Next we're going to get our dog bone. It's going to keep turning until it engages, which it did. The little spring that goes on next. Just like that. So you can see that little spring goes in just like that. Okay, we're going to rotate it. Next we're going to get our small screwdriver and turn it in a few turns. Okay. Still trying to keep tension on there. Put the other thread screw in. Next is the half threaded screws. Those right on the springs so they don't get caught. You can let go now with the bridge. It's a bit of a balancing act, I find. You have to carefully do it. 85, I sometimes have problems with that. Okay, just going to do a bit of a spin test. And there you go. What we're going to do is we're going to do an X pattern so that it torques the bridge plate evenly, so it doesn't go one way or the other. You don't want that. You want to go nice and flat and even. This is like torquing a car tire or a trailer tire. Okay, that's shifting good. Next, I'm going to move over to the large screwdriver. This to torque them up. I'm just using the pen wrench for that. Yeah, the BAYHEAD is a little bit of an interesting reel. It's not common, but it's not rare. Or is it rare? I'm not sure. But I can say one thing for certain is that it's a very interesting reel. You know, as you can see, that's engaging. That's free spool, and now it's engaged. That is clicking correctly. We're all done here. We're going to start moving on to the easier parts now, which is the crossbars. And the other thing about the crossbars is that the screws are longer on one side than the other. So these screws here, my finger's pointing, those go on the drive side, and these screws, my other finger's pointing, go on the clicker side. And these are for the clicker side, these are for the foot plates. Just kind of noticed that when I was watching them all up, the screws are different lengths. Because I did notice the clicker side plate's a lot thinner, and this side's a little on the thicker side. Like just a 1/16 difference, I noticed. If we were to buy these two side plates flat, you can see there's a bit of a difference. So that's one thing to consider when putting this reel together, is that make sure the screws are longer. Next we're going to do is get our crossbars, our long screws, not the short ones. Start screwing all together. Yeah, I'm not really sure why the BAYHEAD was only made for 3 years, from 1938 to 1940. It's kind of a, I don't know, it's kind of weird that PENN did that. Kind of like the 85 was made for a very long time, from the late 40s to the early 70s that reel was made for. So for whatever reason they decided to stop making these. I think it's because of World War II, possibly, because this was made in the 38 to 1940, so maybe that was the cause. It was kind of like the PENN Deluxe. It had the same fate. After 1941 or 1942, it was ceased production because of World War II. But I don't know, for whatever reason, like there's not a lot of information on the internet about this reel either. So if you Google it, there's only maybe some websites talking about it, and that's about it. One quick thing, the long screws, the outer long screws, go on the drive side. These shorter screws go on the clicker side. So do note that when you're building the reel, that your screws will be short. So it has only 2 short screws, and the rest of the screws are long, and then the gear side, the screws are extra long because of the thicker side plate. But anyways, back to the whole history thing. It's kind of a short run, but sort of not. Maybe this wasn't popular, maybe. PENN decided to stop making it because it just wasn't popular for whatever reason. That, or just maybe World War II got in the way, or something like that. But I can say one thing is this reel is in very clean condition, hardly any blemishes on the chrome or anything like that, so odds of finding one that are in clean condition are kind of slim. So if you're interested in picking one up for yourself, or maybe just as a collector's, or just something like me where I just like to have one on the shelf, it's kind of an odd find. I know the Bridge City is a bit more popular because it's been made longer. It's made from 1935 to 1940, which is a bit of a longer run than the Bayhead. Bayhead was from 1938 to 1940, from Page's catalog number 6 to catalog number 8. So for whatever reason, that's just the way they make it. So next is the drive side of the gear.